Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, yeah. You know, say ready for this. You know I have patience.
Obama picture next to white Jesus. Them white teachers couldn't quite reach us. They couldn't see we doing wrong for the right reasons. Came from slums, I slang change like Shang Tsung. Name from same family tree. Ropes would hang from same ones hooping in the alley. Same ones when they shoot the parties, then we start running. 23rd song tatted on their arms. Went from spinning bars to trying to get in bars. Now they sitting in the bars. Prison pipeline, blind to white crime. Quick to take a cliff from a Rudy in the nighttime. Damn, life is but a song, try to sing along. Nana called, told me God called my auntie home. Pouring liquor, see the streets is like an alcoholic. Calling women hoes till we end up having daughters. I guess they call it karma. Joy and pain, love and hate, either way. Granny say, God don't make mistakes. Black like gangsters, black like my cousin them. Black like old soul, black like dropping gems. Black like Cadillacs, black like used Impalas. Black like black love, black like baby mamas.
Greetings. This is Kyle Dixon here with my co-host Kaide Bentley and our special guest here, Andre Daniels, for another episode of the Grand Rising Collective. We are back in effect. Right? During COVID, during these strange times of 2020, all this stuff is going on, but we offer you this platform of Grand Rise Collective to offer some sort of solutions, some sort of hope, some sort of alternative to all the stuff that you're hearing in the media that may be negative. Now, before I go into everything else, let me just introduce myself. I'm Kyle Dixon. I'm one half of Grand Rise Collective. I'm an educator for 20 plus years, co-owner of a film production company, Precise Minds Filmworks. And again, we decided to come up with this platform of Grand Rise Collective because we want to be able to create positive solutions, but really more so empower, engage, inform, and educate our people in the community and abroad. We're listening to all over the world. We got people listening in South Africa. We got people listening in Japan. We got people listening in Brazil. So, we spreading our wings, family, and that's the whole point. But it's all about solutions, not just about getting out and being out there. Is about solutions. And the term Grand Rise Collective is a reminder for us. We came up with the term. It's a term of endearment in the morning, like good morning. So we say good morning, Grand Rising. So it's a reminder for us to rise to the occasion, right? Whatever challenges, obstacles, difficulties you may have in life, but also to be great at what you are and who you are, right? So without further ado, pass it over to my co-host, Kaide Bentley.
Thank you very much, my brother. You know how you do. There's not much I can really add to that except to say my role, so that way you know who's speaking to you and who you're listening to. My name is Kaide Bentley. I'm the president and founder of an organization called 4Ts, which stands for Teaching Teens to Think. And the mission of the organization is to help inner city youth identify their natural skill set, meaning what they do naturally, so they can leverage that in their education. Upon leveraging that in their education, they can establish their career and ultimately start a business if they choose to. That's just one of my hats. The other hat that I wear is an adjunct professor at Fordham University, whereas I have the opportunity to teach young professionals that are pursuing their master's degree to start and open up organizations to help the community grow in that essence. And then also, finally, I sit on the advisory board of LIU. This is another vehicle that I use, again, to help professionals pursue their master's degree in social justice, social science, to build up nonprofit organizations to better help the community, in my case, in terms of helping inner city youth. Again, the idea is to disseminate this information that we have among ourselves to the neighborhood, which is in the community, to help uplift the community, to make the world a better place, and to give leverage to POC, people of color, in terms. So I think that's just a general overall of what I do, and I'm glad that I'm a part of the Grand Rising Collective, because how all those hats that I wear contribute to Grand Rising Collective, as my colleague Cal said, is to provide this information to a larger platform, which is the neighborhood. So I'm honored to be a part of this collective. And without any further ado, I've been talking too much already. We got our here. I'm just going to take the first name. He's going to drop the next. Yo, get ready, y'all. I think it's going to be another one. Let's bring another back. Andre, please do the honors introducing yourself and let us know a little about you.
Indeed, man. My name is Andre Daniels. My stage name is ADD-2. From the South Side of Chicago, specifically from West Inglewood. I'm an MC / mentor. I founded a program called Haven Studios. It's a we took a basement of a church and turned it into a music recording studio for the youth. And we've been running since 2016. We've been featured in a lot of different spaces, man, including Rolling Stone, CBS. Man, I could name a bunch of them, but then I'm also
Steve
part of
Harvey
the
Show.
Steve Harvey Show, yeah. The Tribeca Film Festival, they had did a short film on us. And then we also, well, because of all the work that I've done with the youth, I'm also part of the Recording Academy, so the Grammy Association. Also, we did the TED Talk. Let's see, I am the rap mentor for Commons organization, Common Ground. I also work with Young Chicago authors as well as Guitars Over Guns. And man, when I'm not doing that, I'm making albums. I just released a project called Jim Crow the Musical with two people on there like Kadeem Hardison, Fonte, Brittany Carter. And man, I'm just trying to live my purpose as God intended it to. So, you know, and I'm also a mentee of Brother Kyle Dixon. So he stepped into my classroom when I was in high school. It changed my life. So, you know, we here.
Hey, what I tell y'all, family, I told y'all the people that we rock with. Look, we ain't even started the conversation yet, and the brother's listing off stuff, and it's not even about like ego. It's just about like the work he's putting in. Ooh, okay, we about to get it in today. About to get it in today. All right. So the first question we'll ask you, Andre, is like, you know, where you're from. Of course, I know that, but you know, they may not know that, where you're from and how that influenced you as a person, as an artist. You know?
Yeah. I'm from the south side of Chicago, like I said, specifically an area called West Englewood. And growing up, you know, I'm the second of three boys. And, you know, when you grow up, at least in Chicago, a lot of times you don't really know. I think because one thing, kids are very resilient. You don't know what's going on around you until something from the outside tells you that it's not normal. So for me, I thought my childhood was just fine. It was normal. I had fun. I love playing basketball in the alley. I love kicking it with the friends on the porch. Of course, we got exposed to a couple different things, but I felt like, you know, that's a part of life. You know, I think struggle is a part of life, and it teaches you how to be a better person, how to have more empathy, to understand context about people's stories. Because, you know, from the outside looking in, some people might think, oh, well, this person is a bad person. It's like, no, they have a story of what led them to this path. And honestly, sometimes they're choosing what's best for them in that very moment. So learned a lot about empathy. You know what I'm saying? Learned a lot that, you know, just because your life is one way doesn't mean that everybody is universally that way. You know, I've seen so many different stories of Black life around me, from my neighbor who would pick me up from school, man. He would play all the dope hip hop songs. Like he played like Tribe, he played Jay-Z, he'll play Mobb Deep, and he would put me on to all the hip hop that I didn't know about, that my mom wouldn't let me listen to. And on the other end, my next door neighbor, you know what I'm saying, he was like a hustler, but he also came from a family that was Jehovah's Witnesses. Then on the opposite side, I got like people who are like Catholic. I got people who are like just every different type of person. And so it made me understand that life, especially Black life, man, there is so many different palettes to it, so many different colors to us. And it's like there's things that tie us universally together, but you know what I'm saying, like there's still like this it's such a gumbo pot that you still like, you could meet every Black person in the world and it still be a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? The same and be familiar, but there's something about the flavor that might be a little bit different that they bring it to the table. So, but Chicago, is as much of a bad rep as we get, it still is a very beautiful place. And it's an amazing city that is filled with amazing people and resilient people who are doing phenomenal things that just aren't talked about as much.
Awesome. So with that said, my next question is, how has Chicago been handling or responding rather to COVID-19?
It's been interesting.
Yeah, we've been seeing it on the news.
Yeah. There's been moments where it's like, you know, because at first when it hit, everybody was very, very, very like, you know, strict about it. You know, like it was the first time, like anytime I went outside, it felt like a ghost town. Like I've never seen Lakeshore Drive that open. I've never seen the Dan Ryan like to the point where it's like you could drive and you know what I'm saying, you could swerve all the lanes you wanted to and never touch another car for miles. Like there was nobody there.
Wow.
And so everybody was very, very strict about that. But then you slowly start to see the anxiety start to build because for some people, you know, the house isn't necessarily a haven. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes that's where your problems are, and that's what you was trying to escape. And so without those such social vices to kind of, you know, help your ego or to make you feel complete or to distract you or whatever, you know, some people had to deal with reality. And that's when you started to see people kind of resist. And some people started to go to parties and host things and, you know, kind of go against the grain. And, you know, we started to see it to spike up a little bit more. Now I think it's more balanced. People wear their masks just fine. There's some people who, okay, I'll keep funky with you. It ain't us. who like refusing to wear their mask. There's some other folk, you know what I mean? Who try not to. But now we doing a good job at like, man, you know what they come on, man. And so, you know, they going against the system a little bit and want to fight it. But for us, at least, I've been seeing a lot of my peoples, you know what I'm saying, really respect that and to be wearing their masks and to trying to observe space in between people because they know they got family too. And just because you might think it may not hit you, you know, you don't want to give it to nobody else who don't survive that. So, but I will say after the uprisings, it almost felt like people was like, yo, yeah, COVID got to take a back seat to us understanding about like, you know, our rights, us being valued as Black people in the city and, you know, what we will or will not do. So, but as far as us just observing it, man, I've been seeing a lot of people just kind of get into a better space and understanding that this reality is different.
Gotcha. All right. So with that, Kyle, can I add one more? I want to add one more.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, definitely.
Now, obviously, the COVID situation was, you know, not a good thing. I'll put it in just general terms, right?
Yeah.
You know, people dying and things of that nature. Can you share with us some of the benefits that you think COVID for people who maybe need to see it from a different perspective? Because in some of my conversations, I'm hearing, you know, that in some cases it brought families closer together, you know,
right? Yeah,
kind of, you know, so because of this thing that's negative, it's kind of helping us regroup, you know, and find value now and you know what I mean, see the value in us and love and stuff.
Slow down as well.
Right, slow down. So what are the positives, in your opinion, Andre, that you think COVID, you know, came through the result of COVID?
Yeah, one, I think there's a stronger appreciation for life and time. Like at first, I think we kind of felt like, you know, I could do this at any point in time. I can, you know, reach out to this person whenever I need to. They're going to be accessible to me at my leisure. When now we kind of realized it was like, it could be gone like this. And there were people who were here 1 minute and gone the next week. And so that fear, that knowing of, you know what I'm saying, how immediate this thing can turn for you, how what your reality was can be shifted and how powerless we are in these times, it made people appreciate life and appreciate presence, man. Like so many people I knew had to find new ways to get in contact with their family. And, you know, just to enjoy that time. Like I know me personally, I call my dad and my mom all the time. Like I called them before, but there's a different type of conversation that we have. There's a different appreciation in my voice. There's a different level of, man, I can't wait to see y'all again, to embrace you, to talk, because my family's in Kentucky. They're in Louisville, Kentucky. And, you know, they going through it. So every time I watch the news, man, it's just like, it hits different. And they're older. So, of course, I'm thinking like, that's my worst nightmare, is something to happen. And I had one of my homies who, his mother passed away. And you know what I'm saying, through it. And it was just, and then one of my friends, her husband passed away from it. And they were they're younger than me, you know. And so it makes you just really kind of just understand that life can be fleeting. And even though as humans, we kind of pride ourselves on our knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like we pride ourselves on knowing what's about to happen next. And I can expect this, that life can still twist that up. And knowing that it does, it makes you kind of be like, man, let me hold on to the good. Let me hold on to this moment. Let's say I love you, say I appreciate you. Next time I'm in your presence, I'm not just going to brush it off. Like we're here for a reason, and however much time we got, that's the biggest blessing that we have.
Thank you, brother.
Indeed, brother. Indeed. And I piggyback on what you're saying, Andre, because during this time, it allowed me to slow down in certain areas of my life and really reevaluate things that I was doing or was not doing. And it allowed me to kind of take the time to really process certain things. And it, like you said, with reaching out to family members, also gave me an opportunity to think about certain questions that I had. You know, like I said, because my father, he transitioned almost 3 years ago, and there was certain questions that I felt like I really didn't get a chance to ask him. So about our family and about our lineage and things like that. So I was like, okay, if everybody's at home and we got a little bit of time, what questions do I have as far as about my family, personal family, about people that I may have met and were too young to really realize who they were, or people that I never did get a chance to meet that had a huge influence on the family's history and legacy. So I was like, let me put up some questions and ask my aunts and uncles and things like that. And it was very man freeing. It was very transformative for me, because it was like, okay, now I get a chance to sit down and really take time and ask those questions. They have time to answer them, respectfully. So I definitely feel what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best thing, man. Family and friends, and man, just that ability to have that moment, you know what I'm saying? And to ask those questions. Like I think I was telling Kyle last week, man, I found out I had a new uncle since then. Family, you know what I mean? So but it's one of those things that, when it does come up, now we're at that age where we can ask those questions. It's like, yo, those stories aren't going to be as traumatic now. It's like, now that I'm older, it's like, yo, there's wisdom and knowledge that I need to know. There's history that I need to know. I'm already disconnected from a wider generation of my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as some of my ancestors go, I'm already in a space where I have to scrounge for that knowledge. But what's immediate in front of me, I need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to know what my grandfather did. I need to know what my uncles did. I need to know what my aunts did. I need to know what type of life that led them to migrate from, the South up here. Like, what was their story and who was involved in all the intricacies that we unfortunately we pass down word of mouth, but then we stop telling because we think the younger generation don't want to hear it.
Right.
Like, we need that. That's going to make me whole. So, just want to ask more of those questions and find out more of that information.
Indeed. And I want to chime in too, Andre, because I was talking with my brother. We talk a lot, and we talk about those stories being passed down, just like when I was, when you were a student of mine, and now I feel like I'm a student of yours as well now too. Seriously. And I appreciate that so much. And those stories need to be passed down, because a lot of times I think in our communities, we feel like things were the way they are, and that's just how they've always been. And then when you finally get the backstory and the backstories of these things, you find out, oh, it wasn't always dilapidated, or it always wasn't luxurious. Like, it went through its phases and changes. And we need to tell those stories, because especially when we talk about the South Side of Chicago or in places like that, because Chicago gets a bad rap, even though people got love for it, as I do, it does also get a bad rap. And it's like, no, it wasn't always like this. There were things, there were events, there were people, times that led up to these things. And if you only know the negative, then you're like, well, it was always negative. No, it wasn't. Chicago was a thriving city. It was the second largest city in America. And you know why? Because a lot of those blacks from the South moved into Chicago and helped make that city.
Yep.
A lot of major moves as far as black culture in America has came through and been proliferated from that city.
Yep. Absolutely. Man.
Yeah.
All right. Cal, you well, here we go, Dre. Now, because we on a time frame with Andre. You know, so he's so
Right.
important.
Busy man.
You know, we got it. You know what I'm saying?
I would have been free, but I'm doing the work again. I gotta, you know.
I'm
Man,
playing.
it's working.
So, we understand that you got a new album coming out. What is it
Oh, well,
about?
not coming out. It's I've had an album out. I want to chill right now. I'm not one of them artists who be putting out albums like every year. I don't do that no more. I can't do that. I'm too old. You know,
When you put it out though, it hits. Like say it hits different or it hits real different.
man,
Jim
man,
Crow?
yeah.
Before
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
Oh no, go ahead. My bad.
All right. So before we do, is there any way that Kyle will put in the description where we can find his album, the album that he has out, so people can support.
Yes.
You can support your album, Andre.
Absolutely.
With that said, as a recording artist, what was your process of creating a song or vibe? Like, how did that come about for those young artists that are coming up? You know what I mean? Like, what advice could you give them? I guess is.
Man, I'm about to get in my teacher bag. I feel like I do this all the time. So one of the crucial things I always tell a lot of my mentees is to learn their own process. Like, don't just try to do what you've heard on TV, because some people be like, oh man, I need to do this in one take, or I'm gonna write this in my mind. I'm gonna get up here and freestyle it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going, like, find your process. Learn what works for you to make a good song for you. There's a space where you can experiment with your sound, where you can try to figure out what you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we are, and we're a product of what we've heard. So we might like certain things, but until you try it, you don't know if it's really for you. Like I went through a phase where I thought I was trying to be Jay-Z. I had a phase where I thought I was Kanye. I had a phase when I thought I was Lupe. And then I had to realize, it was like, yo, I'm not any of these people, but I like what they do in this capacity, and find what makes me comfortable. And so for me, I was like, I'm not gonna be rapping with a lot of big words, only because it's not that it's not in my vocabulary. Like I definitely can, but I was like, I'm very much so this blue collar guy. I'm very much so like, I need to talk to everybody, and that's my thing. Like, I love to be able to reach down to whatever I say can be understood by everybody. I really want that. I never wanted to be just preaching to the choir and telling to the people who already know, who be like, oh, word, yeah, but I can still layer it so that for those people who are on my level as far as those things go, they know that is just registering. But at the same time, I want to make sure it's accessible. So find the nuances that make you special. Find the things, the idiosyncrasies that make you you. Follow those and embrace who you are musically. Me, I don't like a lot of people in the studio with me. Like, I don't want no yes men there. I don't want nobody just nodding their head saying, "Oh, that's dope." No, you can't be in the room. I'm from this school where, like, okay, Miles Davis has one of my favorite quotes of all time. And he said, I'm gonna play it first, and I'm gonna tell you what it is second. And as a creator, that's how I feel. As a shepherd, that's how I feel. It's like, I know why I've been given these words. I know why I've been given this inspiration. I know how to execute it. I've put my 10,000 plus hours and beyond. So I know what I'm doing. So I need to trust my instincts and do it. Whether I play it for y'all or not, that's one thing. But to create it, I have to trust that those words are there for a reason. So I create without any sense of like validation. Like, I don't feel like I need validation, like I feel like once I give the art to the people, whether they like it or not, it's subjective. But in that meantime, I'm not seeking validation to be like, do you like it? So then I can feel better about myself. Like, that's not art anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's ego. So I think the ego can't exist in the spaces that I'm trying to occupy, So, but I know I can't do that if I'm not in that space where I'm allowing myself to be myself.
So for young artists coming up, real quick, Kyle, and then please interject. For young, because a lot of these young artists, they find their inspiration in earlier, like the Jay-Z's, right? Like the little Tays now. They got the little Tays out. Smoke was what, Pop Smoke? Was it Pop Smoke? We were talking
Pop Smoke. Yeah, it's my brother Pop Smoke. Yeah, out of Brooklyn.
Yeah. So that's where
I want to get into that too. I'm glad you mentioned. I'm going to get into that later.
All right, good, because I don't want to take too much of your smoke, Kyle. But I'm glad you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think it's very important that you say a lot of young people they've been given a gift, and I think they compromise their gift because they don't know what that music industry is about. Because we could have a long conversation on that. But I like the fact that you said find out what works for you. Don't look for validation, because young people need to understand that's where your true success is. It's not in looking for validation from other people. It's finding out what's true to you. And one other thing I want to add, Cal, before you interject, is I remember Jay-Z said something when he was coming out, and it's something that you said, Dre, where, your level of words and vernacular, it was at a certain level, but you want to bring it down so that everybody could get it. Jay-Z said something along those lines too. He said when he was coming out and writing his music, his words were very articulate, right? They were very, very grandiose and stuff like that. And then I think it was, I forgot who in the circle told him to dumb it down. And that's the quote, that they dumb it down. And when he dumbed it down, that's when he started to get a lot more traction on his songs. That's when a lot more of his songs. So it's very interesting to hear you share that, bringing it down so everybody can get it, and not realizing that a lot of these artists, particularly yourself included, have a vernacular, have an education that people kind of assume you don't. But that's all I wanted to add to that, Kyle. Go ahead, bro. What you wanted to interject?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, exactly. And that makes me think of, I know Andre's gonna know this, but that whole Lupe song, Dumb It Down.
Yeah.
One of my favorite joints, because he snaps on it. Like, it's like, Lupe snaps, man. And like you were saying, right? I remember Jay-Z saying something like that. And when we talk about Dumb It Down, that's a very, I'm going into my teacher bag now too. That's a very that can be a very problematic statement, especially when we talk about our community. We talk about dumbing it down for who, for what, for what reason, whom does that benefit, And like Andre, like you're saying, it's like you're just bringing it down to a level, not even dumbing it down, but just bringing it to a level where people can fully understand what you're talking about, and I feel like you're talking out of their context of awareness of words. Because like I tell my students all the time, there's no it's not that you want to why are you using those big words? No, they're big words only to people who feel small. That's how I feel. That's my take on it. And it's not that it's big words, it's just words that you're unfamiliar with. So no word is ever bigger than you, right? That's first. No word is ever bigger than you. It's just words that are unfamiliar, right? Absolutely. Because if I say hello, how are you doing today, rather than what's up, what's cracking, both of those are relevant depending on who you're talking to. Yeah. Language is only as relevant to the people that you're trying to communicate with. Yep. So you know what I'm saying? And then tying into you, Dre, when you're talking with your youth and whatnot, what are some of the things, well, two things. What are some of the things that that you all talk about and discuss outside of music and art? And also in reference of the influence of Chicago drill to the Brooklyn drill movement. How do y'all feel about that?
Okay, let's see. So the first thing, the things that we discuss, as cliche of an answer as it is, it literally is everything. Everything. Like our program, the group who's all a part of it, all of my mentees, I feel like it's more so like family. Like we've definitely become this second family. Our group chat is mostly just us talking about random things with each other. But we've tackled a lot of tough things dealing with, the idea of what manhood is. We've had those conversations, those tough conversations, and dealing with like, especially like with them dating at this point about, how do you address a woman? What your responsibility is, even if this woman is not connected to you, like she doesn't have to be your girlfriend or your sister or your mom, but your willingness to protect, your willingness to check your homeboys, the willingness to like make sure some of the behavior that we don't want to keep passing through, like how we cut it off. We have those conversations. We talk about like, because we've had some situations, man, in that studio. I've learned a lot. Every bit of my training and the things I haven't been trained on. And so, but dealing with I want to say like life and mortality, especially.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about their outlook on mortality, and it's been a really, really, really tough thing to know that they are at that space in life where they have hope, but you know what I'm saying, like they also at a space where um I think that the world keeps showing them that the world doesn't care.
Mm.
And it's one thing to kind of hear about it and see, but now they're starting to believe it. Before it was like, okay, yeah, we growing up young, whatever, but now it's like, yo, you know, the world is showing you how much it cares about Black life. And it ain't no way to run from it. You can't distract yourself with music and dancing no more. It's like it's there. So that's one of the heavier things that we talk about. But they're going to be stronger because of it. And as far as the drill situation go, okay. So so of course with drill, originating in Chicago, and Brooklyn drill is, I believe, is a little bit more different. Like I think it's kind of like a mixture of like beat wise. I think y'all take influence from almost like the UK scene. You know what I'm saying? Like some of those beats kind of have a similar feel, whereas like our drill was it has a different feel. I don't know how to really kind of like describe it. Yeah, like, but it doesn't feel like how y'all's feel. You know what I'm saying? Like the content is very similar. You know what I'm saying? The things that are being discussed and rapped about, dealing with, like, you know what I'm saying, just things that happen in the streets. It's similar, but yeah, it's not the same. But I also know like there has been a tinge of feeling like, are they co-opting what we do? Are they trying to take it and put a different spin on it? Like, and especially I think they take it personally because, the drill scene, the idea of what drill is, you know what I'm saying? Like when people used to say, I'm about to go hit drill, like all this stuff like that, like people have died over this music. You know what I'm saying? Like they're friends, the people who have been, you know what I'm saying, attached to the songs. And there's people who've lost lives, who got jumped, who got, you know what I'm saying, into some situations, you know what I'm saying, who are no longer here because of this music. And so I think people take it a little bit personal, like it's a different level when you've had loss and you're watching somebody say like, yo, this is, you know what I mean? Like, and even though it could be very real over there too, but it's isolated when you're not exposed to everything. Like if you're not walking through the streets of New York, you're not getting able to talk to people from New York. All you do is hear like, oh, they're making drill music too. And it's like, well, they wasn't out here when we was doing this and that, and you know what I mean? Like it feels different. So I think they took it personally at certain times. And but I think now people are starting to let it go and not really hold on to it like, it's something bigger than what it is.
Yeah. Can I interject real quick? All right. So you mentioned something about young people didn't think that they were valued. Black African, Black people in this country valued this country, right? And now it's starting to get the message. They're starting to realize, it ain't as easy as you thought. Yeah, you are looked at as. How is that different from the civil rights movement in the '60s, when it was? I think it was like the same thing back in the day without racism and the white water fountain and black water fountain. My question: if that took place in the '60s, right? As far back in the '60s, how did we get to such a disconnect with this generation today? We're experiencing the same thing like 40 years ago. How did we lose that reality? Is my question. Right.
Well, one of the big things is that as each generation transitions, I think when the baton gets handed off, there's a lot of things left out in that translation, man. Like, so the younger generation, where this is like, I'm glad why I'm in space in place where it is because I can give them context about both. You know, like I've sat in front of my elders and received that same knowledge and the context about what they were going through because I was inquisitive about it. And sometimes they just made sure I just had it. They were like, no, you're gonna sit down and learn it and see the sacrifices and understand the sacrifices. Some kids never get that. You know, they assume that they know it because they're supposed to teach it, but as we know, the American educational system is far from perfect. That needs to be restructured from the foundation. So the most they may get is Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King,
maybe Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. But even that, it's like it's sprinkled. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get, you know what I'm saying, the March on Washington. You're gonna get I Have a Dream. That's the only Martin you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna get him talking about the unions. You're not gonna get him talking about like, yo, this is one of the worst places that I've ever marched in. In Chicago was Marquette Park. And you can walk here right now and you're not gonna get that. And it's like, that's your backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like where we record at, the place we record at, it just got landmark status. That was one of the last places that Dr. Martin Luther King spoke at in Chicago.
Wow.
And so for them to like, I'm trying to put them on game, like, look, this is your history. Like this pulpit that you looking at in the church next door to you, like that's where he stood and spoke. You can walk and stand there right now in the same spot. You know what I mean? Like they need to know the connections and that the connections aren't like this far away land. Like you're reading a book, like this stuff happened to your great grandparents. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people in your family who know these stories, but the problem is that we expect them to know it. We expect them to be interested in it. And really it's on us as that gap generation to feed it to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I got to give it to you in the applesauce. I got to put the medicine in the applesauce so that at least you get some of it. And maybe it sparks your interest to the next thing, which is a big full circle moment to me because Kyle did that with me. Like I was in his classroom my junior senior year. And he would just like hear me rapping in the hallway and in the back of the class. And then he'll turn around like, hey man, you know, have you heard this CD before? And I was like, no, I ain't never heard this. And it was Little Brother. He gave me the listen. I was listening to Cassidy and Do or Die and Mafia at the time. And he slid me that CD. And then I'd be like, I went back, I was like, dang, okay, well, what's this? And then now I'm going back to him. I'm like, hey, so, you know, well, I'm listening to more stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, let me check out Mos Def now. Let me check out, you know what I'm saying, Reflection Eternal. Let me like all this stuff that started to open up that gate. And we have to do the same thing with this generation because all the other doors is open for them. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to the misinformation, miseducation, like those doors are plenty. But when it comes to them getting the honest, real, like the stuff that the schools don't want them to know so that it doesn't empower them, like to get them to break out of that loop, like we have to give them that because they're not going to teach them how to be community centered. They're going to teach them how to like get their bread and leave. They're not going to teach them how to invest into each other because they want them to be divided. There's more money in the division for them. So it's like, no, let's change that narrative up. Instead of you getting rich and leaving, man, get rich and be in your community, man. Like, build that up, build businesses, help other folks out within their area because that's going to stop the violence. You know what I'm saying? It's opportunity, man. If I got money in my pocket and consistent money, I'm not about to mess that up for nobody. You know, it's like just to start giving them the solutions and let them be the generation that we want it to be.
Very good, man. See, go ahead, Kyle. I'll start conversations. We're gonna keep him on here for like another 3 hours. Go ahead, bro.
I mean, and real family. To his credit, to be real with y'all, to his credit, this young brother was on point when I met him. You know, this is just not even a metamorphosis. This is just an abundance of who he already was, right? Just him growing into himself, and myself and my good friend Corey saw that in him. And I'll tell y'all this, family. This young brother, when I asked him someone who his favorite artist was, now he gives me credit for little brother. I did do that, but to his credit, he was listening to Miles Davis. He was listening. I'm gonna give you a Jew, and Andre gonna know this. He was listening to the score. What was it, of Malcolm X?
Malcolm X. Yeah.
Yeah. Terrence
Blanchard.
Who does that? What 17, 18-year-old is doing that? Not many. I was like, this kid is special. I was like, this kid is different.
Yeah.
I was like,
that was the truth. Yeah, that was that score. Like I was always trying to figure out. I was like, man, what is this? This is jazz. This is cinematic. This is something different. You know what I'm saying? And I was always a big Spike Lee fan. And so, but again, that goes back to that idea of seed planting. You know what I'm saying? Like these are like little seeds that get planted. So, you know, from my dad making us watch South Central, and then I started watching other movies that kind of had like, you know, Boys in the Hood, stuff that still had like a message to it.
Yeah.
And then I would like get into Do the Right Thing and all the great black cinema. You know what I'm saying? Love Jones, all this stuff that I would be like, man, this the palette. You know what I'm saying? Like the texture of these movies is different. Crooklyn is different. You know what I'm saying? Like the Malcolm X is different. It's just, it feels different. And when you start having those things just right there at your fingertips, you start going down the rabbit hole and you start finding the things that match it.
I want to real quick. I want to interject on this one. So, man, and I'm jumping off. We got some questions we want to ask you, but I'm kind of veering off a little.
Oh man,
there's something about. I think there's. I saw something that Cal sent me in regards to a new musical called Jim Crow, the new Jim Crow, or something like that. What's that about? What's the Jim Crow about?
Definitely talk about that.
Yeah, so the album that I released is called Jim Crow the Musical, and I always wanted to make an album that I felt like spoke to the moment of what we're in right now. And at the moment when I was creating all this stuff, it was a level of frustration that I didn't really hear from other rappers and you know what I'm saying, songwriters, and but then also a level of just loving on us that I didn't really hear either. So I tried to make this album like a celebration of being black, man, and being African American or Africans, you know, in America, rather. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted it to feel like the moment of what we're in, but also just the appreciation to be like, yo, there's hope, there's more, there's like, yo, we got us. Don't worry, we survived more. You know what I'm saying? So, but the album is it's heavily influenced by all the things that we were talking about beforehand, like black cinema, you know what I'm saying, our ancestors. There's a heavy theme on connecting back with our ancestors that's there. Even the main character, the person who narrates it, who is you know, one of my favorite people, Kadeem Hardison, who played as Dwayne Wade from Different World, who's also like my big brother now. His character is named Yo Ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the narrator overlooking everything, and it's trying to get us back to connect with. There's quotes from Assata Shakur, Malcolm X, James Baldwin. Like, it's littered all throughout the album, and so, you know what I'm saying, it's again my way of trying to give it to the next generation. It's like, I'm gonna give you these quotes that you might be like, dang, I really connect with that. And it's like, well, let me go further and connect back with that person where that quote came from. Or why does ADD-2 have that at the beginning of the song? Why does he, instead of having Fonte rap a verse, he has Fonte saying a quote from James Baldwin? Why is that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, because I think I'd much rather let that be the bait to lead you into this other world than, that connection is everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always just trying to think a step ahead and find a way to use my platform to, you know, help the world around me.
Indeed, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, Cal, I'm done. Hey, jump in, bro.
Yeah. No, man, that album is rich, family. Y'all got to check out the Jim Crow album. Not because this is my good friend, you know, brother in the trenches, you know, in the community. No, this is a rich album. Like literally, this could literally be a book, but it's just through the musical conduit of an album per se. But it can literally be like a book. And like what the brother's saying is making those connections. And it's not about everything being like, oh, let's go back to Africa, or no black people did no wrong in history. It's not all about that. It's just really, like you said, about celebrating us, right? Because the main narrative in media is that we don't do for self. We don't do what's right for ourselves and our communities. And like all three of us were talking earlier before we started the podcast, we were talking about just brotherhood and community and things like that. And that's the whole point of this podcast. It's the whole point of us coming together through this medium of a podcast in the Grand Rising Collective. But these are things, family, that we already do outside of this digital medium. Andre is doing phenomenal things with his youth, and his youth are doing phenomenal things because they have seen a template from him and other men and women that have been putting into them, right? And this is what we were talking about last episode. Like, you got to put into the youth. You can't talk, excuse my language, you can't talk shit about the youth and not put into them, right? You can't do that. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Andre's not going to allow you to do that. We're not going to allow you to do that. It's just not happening, especially with our youth, right? Like he said, and I want to go back to what you said earlier, Andre, about like Dr. King being in that pulpit with that church next to your facility, next to the Haven Studios. Not only are they able to step into Dr. King and reimagine that, but they're also able to become like a Dr. King, or like a Ella Baker, or like a Fannie Lou Hamer, or like a Malcolm X, or like a Shirley Chisholm. You know, they can do those things. They can say, well, damn, if he or she stepped in this place, who am I not to? Who am I not to become that and more? So, brother, I salute you, man. I really do. And that's why I'm glad to have you on this platform on our show, because brothers like you, and we're going to have sisters on here too, need to get that recognition and shine, because you're doing the work day in and day out. And it ain't all glamorous, family. You know, y'all know that. If y'all don't, it ain't all glamorous. We still got other stuff in our life that's going on, right? People are hurting. You know, some people are passing away. Some people are sick. Friends, just, you know, life. You know, COVID is touching everybody. You know, even before COVID, people's getting touching everybody. So yeah, and you know,
that's one of the biggest parts to it, that I don't talk a lot about what I do. The stress and the heartbreak that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? As somebody who's empathetic and in that space, like, you have to be, there's a lot of secondary trauma that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the youth don't have a space to be vulnerable. So once they find that and they release a lot of that, it stays with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of the things that connects, because I'm like, now I really need you to get better, because, you know, I see why you are doing the things that you're doing. And I know that you just need a little bit of help. You just need a little push to get out of this dark space. And you've been trying to, but it's not fair that you had to do this alone. You know what I'm saying? And so there's things I had to do that I never anticipated just from opening up a music studios. Like, of course, you become a big brother, or father, or uncle, or whatever it is, figure to all these kids. But at the same time, man, I've never anticipated having to, you know, be the one to drive a kid to rehab. I never anticipated being the one to have to mix and master one of my mentees' last words before they pass away. I never anticipated sitting at the space before they get ready to put them into, you know what I'm saying, that furnace, to turn them into ashes, and they asking us, like, would you want to stay in this room before we, you know what I'm saying, like, and I'm looking at their body just sitting here staring at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's moments when you just think to yourself, like, or even being in the courtroom, you know what I'm saying? Like, the judge told me, but it was one of my mentees said, man, I trust you and him being in your hands than the family. It's like, there's so many different moments that come with it that you can't fake. Right. And for them, that's one of the most important things, is like, you can't fake being present. You can't fake caring. You can't fake showing me love. If you are inconsistent, you got to go, because I'm used to that. It's a revolving door in my life already, dog. You can just walk right in and get up out of here. So for them, they're like, yo, if you're going to be consistent, stay here. Show me. And I'm glad that they harsh on the other end and they don't trust at the beginning. They shouldn't.
Right.
I should want to earn that. And
Right.
then once I earn that, then it's a different friendship. But until then, if it's just talk, if I'm just gonna talk at you about how to be better, I'm not your friend. I'm not your mentor. I'm just somebody else in the street. But in order for me to earn those titles and have a space in your life, I can't talk at you. I have to show you through action. I have to show you through consistency. I have to show you through empathy. I have to give you that space to transition to wherever you're trying to be and understand that if you make a mistake, I'm not gonna condemn you. I can't. I gotta be with you. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta help make each other better. So, you know, that's my law that I live by.
Real quick, Dre, Cal, I just wanted to check. We were talking about what are you doing to make a change in society and justice? Like what roles are we playing? I think we would be remiss, Cal, if we asked Andre the question of what actually is your nonprofit? What is your nonprofit about with the youth, particularly, right? I know if you're comfortable in, sharing that, and what type of impact do you think your organization has had on the youth? You kind of expounded on it already, but I don't, I don't.
Yes, distinctly, yeah.
Yeah, if you could just what is the name of your nonprofit? Overall, what does it do, just generally? So then people who are listening can tie the name of your organization to what you just shared in regards to you can't fake, you can't fake empathy and emotion. So what's the name of your organization and basically what does it do before we move on?
Yeah. So it's called Haven Studios. And we're a partner with Guitars Over Guns. And Haven Studios it's a music mentoring program that is open from Monday through Friday, where the kids can come in from 10, well now it's about 11 until about 5, 6 p.m. And the goal is to give them the resources that normally they're given access to. So they're able to record whatever songs they make. I don't judge whatever it is, say whatever you got on your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I always tell them, I'm not here for the product, I'm here for the person. So they have the freedom to make whatever type of song they want to make. A lot of it be everything. But there's a level of trust that come with it. You know what I'm saying? And but each of the kids, their responsibilities are being able to record, but also to learn Pro Tools so that they record each other. It's not my job just to make sure I'm not going to be recording everything. I teach them how to run Pro Tools. I encourage them to make mistakes and learn how to mix. Like I give them the basics, but I also want to give them the access. Where it's like, normally when you pay for studio time, you don't get to be able to mess with the buttons. But on here you can. I want you to turn that button all the way up to the top so you can see what it does. Like I want to teach you about EQ. I want you to fully understand what it is so that when you walk into a studio, you know the terminology, you know how you prefer your stuff to be mixed. You can tell when somebody's wasting your time and it's not just you burning money, and then also it prepares them as, to be more fully functioning in this industry. It's a job if you ever need one. You can always mix somebody else's vocals. You always got homies who rap, so now you can be the engineer. It saves you money where you can be the one to, you're mixing your own stuff and you just send somebody to master it. But musical education, that's one of the things that I pride myself on. I gave them a deal simulator that shows them how much you would need to stream just to make minimum wage. Wow. And it's insane. I gave them like the simulator of what it looks like for them to what it needs to create a level of profit if you have a record deal. And even that is crazy. So that's what I wanted them to see is like this music industry isn't what they tell you it is, because they're hoping for your ignorance. So instead it's like, let me show you the difference between a royalty deal and a distribution deal, and why Master P was such a genius, and why he made as much money as he did, how he cut overhead, and he just said, like, you guys put the record out, but I'm already doing all the work, and I'll take this advance and I get more on the back end. Like, I want them to know the educational side of it so that they're not walking into a trap and saying, oh, I'm gonna sign $1 million record deal. And then you be in debt for the rest of your life, and you're not able to put out music, and they own your masters, and you see why so many artists are unhappy later on in their career. Like, nah, be happy now. You're bringing everything to the table.
Right.
I'm not gonna let y'all just be victims to this thing that I've watched get everybody for all of the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Watching all my rap heroes get, you know what I'm saying, taken advantage of.
Industry rule 4080.
Man, woo. Come on.
Hey, Dre. Good job, brother.
And Drake, real quick, speak on that too, because you as an artist, you've always, I've known you, when you started, you've always been independent minded, even against some of the stuff that me and Corey had maybe suggested to you. You like, nah, I want to do this, and I'm like, man, Dre's stubborn, man, but I admired that too. At the same time, it was like, okay, he really want to own his stuff, and I couldn't be mad at that at all because I knew where it was coming from. But could you speak on that, man? Like just that, that progression,
It came from me watching other artists. Like I have they always say the smart man learns from other people's mistakes. And that's what I wanted to do. It was like, I would watch like, De La, you know what I'm saying? And what they went through. I would watch, you know what I'm saying? Like all these different artists who would get into these spaces and the industry would take advantage of it. And then, everybody will always have the same argument later on. They were fighting for ownership. And so I was like, well, why are we giving up ownership? And then I started realizing it was like, oh, well, the money that they really want is the thing that we give away at first. Because we think like, yo, I want to be rich. I ain't got nothing. So I just want this money now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, bigger picture. What's the bigger picture? What's the long game? You know what I'm saying? Why are there so many people who are rich off people's albums who we've never heard of and who own these things, who've never been in the studio and never created nothing? All right. So instead of that, let's take a different route because I know where that would lead. I see where that would lead. It's like temporary joy. You get about 4 years out of it. Nice run. And after that, you're done and you unhappy. All right. So what's the other route? And I'm like, okay, so you don't get as much up front, but you still have your freedom.
Right.
And I was like, yo, I can't substitute that.
He said, no price on my freedom.
Can't put a price on my freedom. Plus, I don't like the industry no way. So like, why do I want to be involved with it? I think I'm kind of like, you know what I'm saying, obstructionist when it comes to that. I want to tear it down. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not a fan of the system. So why would I assimilate with it? You know what I'm saying? Like there's spaces that I know I can operate within it, but as far as becoming another cog in the system, I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I want to kind of make sure that one, I'm not a product of, but two, figure out how to make sure that my mentees don't become a product of it either. So all of them don't want that. All of them now at this point, they're like, yeah, nah, I need to set up my own business. I'll take out a loan before I get a record deal. I'm like, go ahead, invest in yourself.
You better with the bank loan than the record loan, because the record is a loan. The record deal is a loan.
You play it loan.
Right. If you're gonna do a loan, you better with the bank loan.
Exactly.
Andre, real quick, we're almost at the top of the hour. It's 57 minutes and 23 seconds. I know you gotta get ready to go and bounce the time there. Kyle, I'm gonna try and jump in two quick questions, and I'm not gonna be too long.
I got two on my end too.
That's right. We're gonna throw them at you real quick.
All right, we good.
Right.
All right, the first one is ADD-2. Where did that come from?
My dad. Oh man, me and my dad was just talking about this. It came from my father. So like my initials are ADD, and I am the second of three boys. And my dad, when we first asked him, we said, yo, why would you give us these initials, ADD and stuff like that? And he always told us, he said, when it comes to your legacy, I never want you guys to take anything away from it. I want you to add to it and to keep building on that. And that has always been like my mantra since then. It's just like everything I'm doing, I'm trying to build on. I'm trying to make positive steps. And I'm trying to add to it. I don't want to take anything away from this situation. I just want to build on it and bring something to it.
That's powerful, bro. That's powerful. All right, second question. This is a loaded one in regards to the time we're in, and especially this time of year. Where do you see the presidency going for Black communities in this new election? Are you planning to vote? What's your thoughts on, are you planning to vote, and how do you feel about voter suppression?
Well, with the presidency right now, man, of course, the choices that we got is kind of just like, okay, well, but I know where I'm not going. All right, I'll tell you that up front. There's an easy answer where I'm not. But I will gladly say, like I said, I'm definitely will be voting Biden and Kamala. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't do another 4 years of this. But I've also been trying to tell a lot of my friends that we have to start cultivating whoever is next. Like if we are trying to say like we don't like the choices that we have, then we really start to have to start grooming whoever these next people are. I'm working on getting lists of all the candidates who are running in different areas. I'm trying to get like all the judges and what they stand for and get videos so that all my mentees can know who we are voting for, their stances on stuff, because sometimes we just see names. And the bad part about it is that when it comes to voting, we don't participate in the way that would be most effective. So it's like, let's strategically put people in space that we need to, enact the stuff that we need to, and also follow through with our level of accountability. Like we have to hold them accountable in ways beyond than what it was before. Like I ain't just writing you a letter no more, fam. Like that ain't good enough. You know what I mean? Like if you're not doing what we need to do, you getting up out of here for real. So, but I want them to be more engaged in this, and I want to change my engagement in it too, because there's always spaces of lack of education. So I just want to make sure I improve on that. And with us as Black people in this election cycle, of course, we're so used to being sold all the dreams in the world, and we've probably been a bigger talking point now more than ever for a lot of these politicians who are promising all the things in the world, but it can't be lip service anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're not following up on these cases, if they're not making sure the police are held accountable for their actions, and if they're just making statements and making speeches, that's not good enough. You know what I mean? We've lost way too many. And this isn't a speech moment. It's like it's action at this time, because if not, we know what we're walking up against, you know what I'm saying? And I know where it's leading to. And I'm not even upset if it has to get there, but we have to make sure that other people who are in that space who are involved in this crooked system, fam, like whoever's in there, man, they better be some good people in it, because it's too much as it is.
It definitely is. Definitely, man. And again, I've mentioned on this platform, on podcasts before, about my engagement politically as well. Like I am engaged to a certain point, but again, learning more of the names, learning more of the candidates, what they stand for, their policies, what they would like to do for the communities or the city. Because Chicago is definitely a political city. If y'all don't know that, Chicago is heavily political. Yeah. Sometimes to the depth of the city and the people in the city. So the fact that you're bringing those names and whatnot, judges and politicians and aldermen or alder people, I don't know, into the awareness of the youth is very key, man. Because again, if we can learn all this other stuff, man, all this stuff that really doesn't mean anything, we can learn these names, because this is what directly affects us. These local politics directly affects us. So even if it's not the presidential family, get into your local politics. That's going to truly affect how you and your children and your and the access that your family has, from the elders to the youth. So it's important. I'm speaking for myself and other folks. Like, that's very important. So two things I just want to touch on real quick. One, I know that you mentioned one of your mentees, because I wanted to mention this, that you started a scholarship in her name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of my mentees, her name was really Victoria. She had passed away in December. And I was at first her mom, she said, instead of people giving flowers, I'm gonna have them send donations to you. And I was like, wow, I appreciate it, because she felt like this space, impacted her so much. And I turned around and I said, you know what, there's nothing that we need. You know what I'm saying? I was like, but how can we keep her legacy alive? And I said, I was like, would you be okay with me starting a scholarship for young women? And we're using all those funds to you know what I'm saying, to give to a young woman who you know, her name was Leandra. She had she was actually going into nursing school, and she needed the money to actually get into the school. And so you know, it was right on time. She wrote, you know, a beautiful like I don't even want to call it audition, because it's not even technically like, I didn't want to do a standard, you know, submission type of thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted people to be genuine about the stuff that they were doing and why they needed it. And she was just really like focused, and she did research on Ridley, and it was just amazing. So, but we're doing it yearly. And I want to make sure that we are being, you know, on the forefront when it comes to stuff like that. You know, like, what good is the money gonna do us? You know what I'm saying? Like, instead, let's sow that seed into somebody else so that they can pursue their dreams. And I know how adamant she was about young women getting a chance and have opportunities. So it's like, yo, I got to keep your name alive in ways that I think is like really transformative. And so we're doing that. And then now I got like another one that I'm developing. I was speaking one time, and now I got like I'm developing a full ride scholarship to Millikan University for potentially 2 of my mentees. So, you know, now we kind of create the educational pipeline. So it's like, not just like you stay here, and, you know, now if you want to be able to go pursue higher education, you'll have that opportunity to do it on somebody else's dime, you know, can be there as long as you need to. So yeah, that's what we trying to do.
Yeah. Oh, see, they cooking with grease over there, family. They good. They cook with that jojoba oil or something. They over there. So last question, man. How can we as a community help with what you all are doing, but also in general, just with the youth, no matter what city they live in? I mean, Chicago's a special city, but no matter what city these youth are in, because these youth are dealing with a lot. And not only adults are, but the youth are. Sometimes they don't know how to unpack these things. But how can we help, just on a personal level, but also maybe with your organization, Haven Studios, right?
I'm adamant about the personal level, because like, even on our level, you know, if people want to help out, that's perfectly fine. That's cool. But on the personal level, that's why I'm so like focused on, because there's little ways that everybody can do something to change things. Like, just know the kids on your block, speak to them, say what's up. And even though it may not say a lot at first, just little conversations every day that you see them is going to grow a little bit more. First it go from like, what's up? Next thing is like, how you been? Then it might be like, hey, so, you know, I seen you out there hooping yesterday. How'd it go? Like, that conversation builds, and then that friendship grows. And so I'm adamant about everybody just knowing your circle, because if everybody affect their circles, like, let me just hold down my radius right now. Like, if I'm holding down just my circle, then these have ripple effects, and they start affecting their families, they start affecting their friends, and we can create a greater impact, a much more sustainable one than just feeding into one system. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to just be like, man, Haven Studios is doing amazing things. No, I think there need to be so many little things that need to go on. And so like, that's the thing I push for, is that everybody just speak to the youth who's around you, who you may not normally do, and just see where it goes.
Cool.
All right, Cal, lead us out. Andre got to get that studio open. You never know, this guy's busy. Got contract.
Right. Got the next 5 artists coming out of the shot. You know what I'm saying, from his group. I know they are. I know not just the artists, but probably somebody to change the world. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we doing. We changing the world. You know. But Andre, brother, I thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning, this going into the afternoon, my brother. Much thanks. Give thanks. Always, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I appreciate the youth that are coming out of there and creating great change in their lives and their families and their communities, man. Much love to you, brother. Thank you.
Thank y'all. I appreciate the time and energy and effort, man. Thank y'all.
You got it. Call sign. You can reach me on Twitter and Instagram at Balagoon Logic, BALOG LOGIC on Twitter and Instagram, 4Ts, organization 4Ts.org on the website. 3 channels, YouTube, Kaide, where I talk about scripture and my experience with that. Perspective TV, where I do one-to-one discussions on topics that include relationships, career, education, that type of way. And then I have a candidate advisor, where I give specific advice in regards to career development and entrepreneurship, things of that nature on a more professional level. So those are the ways you can reach me on social media. And yeah, check me out, and I'm there, and just chop it up. Kyle, how can they reach you? And then Andre, please share with those who view how they can reach you. Kyle, how can they reach you?
Yes. So family, you can reach me at DIX_KYLE on Instagram. You can reach me at KEasy773 on Twitter. That's KEASY773 on Twitter. And of course, you can reach me on Facebook. My name, Kyle Dixon. And just as much as well on YouTube, Mr. Kyle Dixon. I'm on personal YouTube channel. Some positive notes there if you want to check it out. But that's Mr. Kyle Dixon on YouTube. And of course, hit the Grand Rising Collective, no doubt, you know. So, Andre, we'll take it home with you, my brother. How can he reach you? How can he reach you? How can he get your album? All that good stuff.
Indeed. Well, the album Jim Crow the Musical is out on Apple Music, Spotify, any digital streaming platforms. Also, let's see, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. It's at&t, ADD-2, THEMC. And of course, the organization, my kids, man, they run the page, the Haven Studios page. It's called Haven Value. So, you know what I'm saying, Haven and the word value. And so like they're doing amazing things. Just keep in tune with them. You know what I mean? All of the music that they put out is amazing. It's phenomenal. I'm just super proud of all of them. So, yeah, and that's about it. Hit me up, ask me questions, as long as it's not crazy.
And also, we're going to have at the bottom of this video, is going to be posted on Grand Rising Collective, and we'll have links to Andre's organizations, his social media, to all of us there. So in case those of you who are listening, you want that information, just go right to the description, and we'll have those links there ready for you to peruse and things. And so just to your heart's desire. So 1, 2, 3, peace.
Yo, you never see black light. Black light. See this black light, black girls, front porch, braiding hair, stay still stay, inhale, breathing in, gelled up, weaved up, ashy knees, greased up, freeze pops, the block hot, head shots, don't freeze up, nah. I watch my pen as it bled. If you need a bodyguard, that means you already dead. Live life, you got street cred, but living in debt. Leave you in the red, followers always seem to get lit. Shell cases on the playground, we play round. Niggas who don't play round, trying to come up and still stay down. Black light not having shit. Black light shopping with my mama mean, don't ask for shit. Brothers start a fight now. Damn, all our asses whipped. It's ironic how we learned it from master, but we mastered it. First ones to last through it. Had to fast, didn't have funds. Watching good times through bad ones. Hit the corner store and then we steal from it. I got some food for thought, I'd make a meal from it. Adolescence is my adolescence. It makes sense since they 2 cents a bad investment. See this black light, rap songs, black light, trap stars, black light, crackheads, black light, crack cards, black light. Better watch your mouth in your mama house. Black light, I brought you in this world and I could take you out. Spending summers at my grandmother's, 10 of us. Baby, watch your hand, ain't no fan covers, share covers, man. Jet, ebony, and essence. Get caught cussing, now my cousin like I'm telling.
I heard Andre cussing. He said the S word, the B word, the F word. He definitely said the F word.
Obama picture next to white Jesus. Them white teachers couldn't quite reach us. They couldn't see we doing wrong for the right reasons. Came from slums, I slang change like Shang Tsung name from same family tree. Ropes would hang from same ones hooping in the alley. Same ones when they shoot the parties, then we start running. 23rd song tatted on their arms. Went from spinning bars to trying to get in bars. Now they sitting in the bars. Prison pipeline, blind to white crime. Quick to take a cliff from a Rudy in the nighttime. Damn. Life is but a song, try to sing along. Nana called, told me God called my auntie home. pouring liquor. See, the streets is like an alcoholic, calling women hoes till we end up having daughters. I guess they call it karma. Joy and pain, love and hate, either way. Granny say, God don't make mistakes. Black like gangsters, black like my cousin them. Black like old soul, black like dropping gems. Black like Cadillacs, black like used Impalas. Black like black love, black like baby mamas. Black like I was born with rhythm. Black like the elders in eternal wisdom. Black like I'll be there in 5 minutes. Black like cop kill a nigga and get acquitted. Damn. What's blacker than that? Yo, you never seen black like this.
Ain't nothing like being black. Black is beautiful.
Yo, you never seen black like this.
Black is.
Yeah. Baby, yeah. You know, say, ready on this. You know, I have patience.